think they would have stayed together and swept the stuff under the carpet, and he would have filmed what he had to for the show. I think it would have been a much different show. I do think they forced Dorit's hand and they said, if you want the diamond, you better be honest. And that's the thing about these producers. They will go there when they know they have the power. You don't have the power over Kyle. You don't have the power over Teresa. You don't have the power over Kenya Moore. I mean, the people you need at that time for that franchise, you're not going to do it to. Dorit, that's not you. You're not Kyle. Now, I'm not saying I'm a huge fan of Kyle's. I'm just saying that I have nothing against Kyle. You can't force Kyle's hand because she can do what she wants because she's not going to get fired. I do believe they forced Dorit into this. So here we are. Bravo producers for forcing her hand, because now we're going to get to see it. It is going to be for an interesting season. I mean, let's not forget, her and Kyle are still having issues. Will this bring them together? If Kyle feels Dorit wasn't really there for her when she was going through this with Mo, which she still is, I don't know if that's going to force them together. Maybe misery loves company, and we could like turn to like Kyle's marriage is falling apart. Now Dorit's marriage is falling apart. I mean, welcome to Beverly Hills, guys. Welcome to Hollywood. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I do think they forced her hand. Bravo to producers for actually giving us something real. I don't think it's going to be the whole central storyline. I mean, hey, Dorit girl, you saved your job. Mind you, Dorit has been on for 8 seasons, the same amount that Robin Dixon has been on. Robin left and Robin was fired and she was very upset. I said on this podcast, hold your head high, girl. I mean, 8 seasons, Dorit, like, say what you want. And this is not really the exact comparison, but LVP was on for 9. So Dorit is like, I mean, and I'm including this next season 14. After this season, Dorit is coming up right under LVP. Now, that's not really a correct analysis because LVP basically owns the network. The Valley is coming back for a second season. Vanderpump is still doing what it is. Vanderpump isn't over. I will get into that in a second. And Vanderpump Villa, we have a reunion coming up with Karamo. So Vanderpump Villa is doing well. So, I mean, LVP owns the whole damn thing. But, you know, Dorit, 8 seasons as a housewife, that's really, really hard. So you did what you had to do. They forced your hand. You made the statement. I think she goes to PK and says, we got to come out with this, Bubba. We got to come out. My job depends on it. 8th season, you're like $750,000. That is a lot of money. A lot of money. That doesn't include PK's money. It doesn't include any endorsements or anything she gets on the side. It's a lot of money. So yeah, I think that she said, Bubba, we got to do it. We got to do it. And although this is the last thing she wanted to do and admit to the world, here we are. By the way, her and PK were out a few nights ago. I forgot. I don't think it was the Beverly Hills Hotel, having dinner the day it was announced. So these people know what they're doing. I don't think it's fake. Here we go. We're having a great season. We behind the velvet rope, were invited to a party this weekend at Sutton's house. It's a surrealism ball and they're filming it. And it was at the Strack residence. I did not go. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't like going to these things anymore. I just don't. But the point is, and you also feel weird when you're there and you're observing and then you're going to report about it and then someone's going to say something. But regardless, it was at the Strack residence, a surrealism ball, but it said on the invite will be filmed because you got to tell people. So my point is that just proves, I mean, if there was any mystery, they are filming. Everyone's filming. We're back. Cameras up. Potomac, cameras up. So, hey, things are happening. The other thing I guess I quickly want to touch upon before we go, just checking the time. We have a few minutes. Just a quick hit. We'll cover it in more detail next week. You know, Andy Cohen, I mean, this is obviously orchestrated and planned. First, we're going to have Andy do a major interview. And then in light of the upfronts where we announce all the shows coming back, one of which is Watch What Happens. That's going to be our big announcement that we as a network are standing by Andy. But first, Andy did an interview where he answered things like, no, he's not sleeping with John Mayer. I mean, I think we all knew that. I mean, John Mayer has slept with many women. I think we knew that him and Andy were not sleeping together. Andy said that the housewives that epitomized the like ideal of a housewife. He said Kyle, Portia, Bryn Whitfield, which I guess I kind of understand that, but not really. And Tamrat. We have a rat, and she is in the corner, and she is scurrying, and she doesn't like Munster. She likes Gouda. She's getting that piece of cheese in the corner. The rat that scurries, Tamrat. Listen, nothing against Tamrat. She is the epitome of a housewife. If you look at RHOC, Tamra is probably one of the like best at the game in OC. I hate to break it to you. I think Tamara is I don't even, how the hell did we ever fire Tamara? She is a rat that scurries. Don't get me wrong. She loves her fucking Gouda. That bitch loves her Gouda, but she is kind of the best. I mean, we have Emily and Gina. I mean, I love my Heather because I am blinded by money and people who aren't tacky like the rat that scurries. But Tamara is, I think, the epitome of the RHOC. So there you go. So that's some of the stuff that Andy talked about. And what else did he say in this interview? I found it very interesting. He said that there's a lot of good stuff. And then let's hopefully we have time to get to all this. He basically said, and I'm going to paraphrase. He said, this is in his interview before Bravo spoke out that they're standing by him. Producing a show about politically incorrect women in 2024 is different than 2029. And he talks about all these differences. And then he goes through all these things that he can't speak, all the claims that he can't speak to Eboni K. Williams' claims of experiencing racism. But he's proud of all the work that Bravo has put into making their shows more diverse. Then he goes on to talk about George Floyd. I'm not even going to argue with Andy on this because I have a lot to say that I could argue, but this is just a quick hit. We'll have to deal with this in more details next week. He then goes on to claims that Leah's sobriety was sabotaged, which she alleged in a lawsuit against him. I mean, this guy is speaking a lot for someone that's involved in a lawsuit. And he's saying there are many cast members that have gone sober during the show. He's referring to Luann. He's saying Jill doesn't drink. Candy doesn't drink. The Saj. Do you guys know my friend, the Saj? Marge, the Sarge. Ooh, she's doing some interviews, and so is Trey. On Patreon, that's where we talk about RHONJ this past week. Yesterday, we just did a review, but next week, coming up, I have so much to say about these interviews that Teresa is doing, all the stuff going on with the bloggers, and all these interviews that Margaret is doing. I have so much to say about these interviews. So that's coming up. So he's saying it's ridiculous. We don't hide bottles of alcohol on set. Making you drink. He said he is disappointed in Bethenny, whether people should union. He's kind of against the unionization. He's like, you know what you're signing up for. Actors have a skill, reality stars don't. And he is hurt by Bethenny, but we're way past that. So that's what he said. And just with the remaining time that we have here for this very quick hit, I want to talk about Bravo. So at the upfronts, again, we're going to go into this in more detail. We've announced that Married to Medicine is back, and RHOM and RHOSLC, and we've announced that